Hello, this is Lisalee and welcome to my channel. This is the Equinox. We are going into the spiritual new year. And I don't know, I always like my first opening line every time I come back here is like, I've been gone. And I have, and we are actually, it's not that the last episode in the Jesus series is on the chopping block. It's not. It's just that if you follow Jesus channeling all the way to Jesus, like we end up at this is the Course in Miracles, and this is just, at some point I will do something with it, but to work with Jesus, he's like literally, he has like a course, and I wish I was kidding. I kind of wish I was kidding, and it's cool and it's interesting, and at some point we might play with it, you know, because my whole like philosophy around spirituality is to like follow your curiosity off a cliff, like, and then like, you know, find your way back up again. Like this is my craft, or, you know, how I kind of characterize it anyway. But yeah, that's an interesting book. It's the kind of thing that it's something that I'm gonna like probably like force everyone to like look at with me a little bit. I'm not like sold, you know, like I think it has a kind of like to work with deities. I'm just gonna like jump in with a little bit of what I'm learning. When you're working with deities, like what I highly suggest is that you take the idea of God as being like this omnipotent, like judgy, I don't know, like deities are, I don't want to say like deities are people too, because in no way they're not, like they are gods, but there's a way in which they're not trying to be perfect, because imperfection is duality, and duality is the problem that we deal with in terms of like hierarchical problems and, you know, over under. So so Jesus is awesome, like very cool, and what Jesus is wanting to teach me is very much like going into this Course in Miracles territory, which is like, you know, we're talking about some interesting things, because there's a background there that if you go down that rabbit hole, it leads like almost to the CIA. So whatever, you know, we'll come back to the Course in Miracles and its coolness and whatnot another episode. Today we are looking at the spring equinox. And so the intentions I have for this reading that we're about to do, and we've got a cool bunch of cards. Like I love card pairing. That's like one of my favorite things to do. So there's some really good pairings here, so I'm excited to see where this is going to go. But what we're looking at as we go into this is our spiritual new year, like now the new year. Of course, this is the feeling of the new year. The sun is coming out, there's flowers, like, you know, you want to go outside and play, and things are coming back to life. And so this has been a hard last couple of weeks for this group. Hard couple of decades, obviously, too, but like very intensified and like concentrated processing has been going on in the way of like purging, and I encourage you, like as part of your faith, to like allow yourself these times like of like intense processing, and try to like maximize it as like you're, you know, when you find yourself in these positions. Like I'm just talking about like, sort of my practice is to work through all kinds of like difficulties as that, like basically like in a spiritual way, and just like take it as like this is a spiritual journey. Anyway, that died. Whatever I was just talking about, like I lost interest. But we're moving into Pluto and Aquarius. We're like getting ahead of this hellhole of a situation we've been in a really long time. And we're moving into an era of like innovation. My astrology guru is Tasha, and she works with me over at Capricorn and Pisces. But we're moving into a kind of freedom that I don't think we can even fathom yet. And so the questions that I have for this reading and the intentions that I have for this reading are like, where are we going? How do we disempower the fear that is holding us back? What will we discover about ourselves? And I got a really clear message with this reading. Basically, the key to unlocking the door to so much in the way of like revitalization, like I want to say revelation, but I'm thinking like resurrection. You know, this is that time of the year. Is that to romanticize your life, like, and like that might seem like, what? No, like there's a secret magic to it. There's a magical thing there. that, you know, energetically that I've been experimenting with, and it's like, yes, this is a good direction. So we'll talk about that too at some point. But let's jump into this reading. Actually, I want to keep this sort of near me so we can see it. So maybe I'll put this right here. And I just want to, let's see where we're going. And I left this up, you know, I always like pre-shuffle meditation. I left this up and I'm going to just put it right here. I'm going to leave that right there. And we're going to pull some cards about where we are going. Yeah, let's start there. So I hope you've all been okay. There's been funky astrology going on lately that, you know, has contributed to a lot of what we're all feeling. But I also think that, like, there's an energy shifting situation that has us all a little bit frazzled. Nothing to fear. It's just, you know, we are going into an age of an Aquarius. The age of an Aquarius. We're going into the age of Aquarius at a pace that I think is like everybody has a little bit of like emotional, social, and spiritual whiplash. 'Cause damn, yeah, like it's not been bad. It's just been heavy. So let's see. Maybe we'll have like the luck this reading of like my putting the cards straight. I will check, you know, as soon as I pull them out. So where are we going? Let's see. I like it a little bit. It's interesting. There's something kind of cool and beautiful happening here, but it's not without its challenges. Oh my goodness. Let me get some of these. Well, we're moving out of a period of, you know, extreme, basically, like if spirit were to like look upon the world and like look at the last era, you know, spirit is like, we're moving out of the era of like money problems. And that's like, I think everybody almost like clenches at the sound of that, because whether we have money or we like don't, it's a problem. It's problems in every direction. Like, it's just like, this is a problem to manage. This is a problem to keep up. This is a problem to like, what is going on? Like, you know, it's like, what's eating your life, right? So I'm seeing here with the World card and the Four of Coins, where there's been this clutching around resources, and you know, the ladder of hierarchy really does mean that like it's a spiritual cannibalism, and trying to like hold on with enough to survive, you know, is that Four of Coins here. Like, you just see this dragon who's like amassing, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Hoarding their like angry riches. So we're seeing that kind of come to an end, but in a way that is like a little spooky right here, but I like what it leads to, so we'll get into that. And ultimately we're seeing revolution and change, a new path that is, let's look at it one little bit at a time, because I like this new path, but we might be in for an interesting bump in the road. Okay, I like where it's leading, but I gotta see the bottom of this other deck at a certain point. Where your potential won't be eaten anymore, but at what cost, right? Let's take it. Yeah, the Hermit. I was wondering about that. We might have another, it looks like we're gonna have another period of isolation around something. And by isolation, I mean like, it may be like kind of something along the lines of like, you have to stay inside for a minute. And no fear mongering, because, you know, some of the best times that we've had in the way of like spiritual awakening and growth have been in these Island of the Shuttered Door cards right here. And so whenever we see sort of a twist where it looks like for some reason, maybe it's, and like quite frankly, the way that divination works, it might just be that it's like super hot out, you know, the weather might be like too like warm or something. So however this pans out, you know, no worries, but it does look like we're in for like a little bit of inside introspection at the beginning of this path. and right before a breakthrough. And so I'm going to find out what that means in a second. But where are we going? Let's take a look. I'm going to just get a couple more cards here, and we can start officially reading. I will say with that, let me look at this. It's kind of a type of 10 of Swords. This is the deck without signifiers, and I love that because it always makes me look twice. And that is actually kind of an amalgamation of the 10s, which is really interesting. I've never looked at that card in quite that way. But what I'm seeing here is like you're prepared. We are prepared. You know, the first thing you want to know about like the change that's coming is we're really prepared for the boogeymen. In fact, they're not even boogeymen. We're going to see them for the shadows that they are. We're not going to be vulnerable in the way that we believe. Here, let me hold this up and show you something. So, you know, this is a menacing energy right here. And this is a card where this is coming very quickly. You know, with the 10s being, and I really do like this deck. For advanced readers, like the D&D deck, not that I'm like, I wish they would, you know, I'm not advertising anything. Like, it'd be nice if they give me like 5 cents, but I'm not. This is really just like my, if you're an advanced reader, I do like that these cards don't have signifiers, because I think that, to me, that means that like, what is the combination of all of these? We usually have completions of cycles. You know, our numbers usually line up in terms of like life themes and where we are in life. And so the 10 of Swords, 10 of Coins, like when you put these all together in a certain kind of a way, you sometimes get a really interesting picture, and that happens with this deck. But right here, what I'm seeing is that like there is a lot coming out toward, you know, coming towards us. You know, and if I were to like say like, you know, like say this one is you know, everything in the way of like, what will the disruption to the system as we understand it, like what will that disruption actually look like? Well, we're afraid that we won't, the doctor won't be there, and you know, what's this fear about like, oh my gosh, like how will I get my produce, and like there's and like crises, and oh my gosh, these are these shadow figures that we're seeing. And you know, in the way that these things are coming at us, it's not like they're to come. We have already been like, we're in the middle of this storm. The tornadoes are, you know, ricocheting around us. Like that's the train derailment. Like over here, okay, that's the, maybe this is the mothership. What's over here? You know, this thing about food, and you know, there's we're in the middle of, see these shadows, this is what's going on, this is what's coming at us, and it's been coming at us. But I want you to look at this fortified figure. And when you look at this fortified figure and her immense strength and her resolve and her connection to the divine, these shadows, she's not even seeing them. This stance, this pose, this like, she's in her holiness. And these things, they are just like shadows that go, like they move around her. This is her act, this is her standing in her magic. And so I want us to begin to think about where we're going as a place where we stand in our magic, and none of this stuff, I see it like splitting around this person, and this person is completely protected and encapsulated with their own, their holiness extended is like as like a force field. And she's doing this, and she's doing this not by connecting with these forces around her, but by connecting with her divine highest self, and knowing that that protection, and you know, in her pose, like this is a pose of prayer, you know, a connection with her highest self, and that this protection in that pose is like enough to like actually like make this, like, fear not is basically like, if I had to sum up this card in like 2 words, fear not. Fear not, innovation is coming. And so this is the, let me just take a look at this. This is the Page of Coins to me. But it's also the Page of Wands right now too. Again, this is the deck with non-signifying, which means they can combine, and I like that. So let me just like lean into this a little bit, get a sip of water. And I encourage you to like look at this card as, I hope the lighting doesn't suck. What are the chances? I encourage you to look at this card while I take a pause, because I want each and every one of you to like pick out one thing that you see and write a note of it. Like I know that sounds like weird, but I have like a cool idea, a divination idea. All of what we're doing is technomancy, so I'll let you know what it means later. So take a look at this card. You can pause it if you need to, and just write down one observation. And I have a cool idea if you want to participate. But anyway, what I'm seeing here is how this repose leads to a level of abundance in the way of innovation and creativity and creation, and also assistance. You know, we are used to a structure that doesn't assist us in any way, shape, or form. And when I see this critter right here, I see a machine. So I see a structure. And so that's telling me that there's a social structure incoming that might seem small and might seem insignificant, but these were shadows that were dictating the structure. You know, it was the Wizard of Oz, where, you know, you get to the end of the yellow brick road and you find out it's all an illusion. This is crying out and like hearing no answer. And this is a machine of a structure that operates and out of projecting fears and controlling by way of doing that. And so like, as that structure falls by way of your knowledge of who you really are, we step into this assistance. And this assistance is a structure. And this page is a page of the earth, or, you know, this is also a page of inspiration. So this is a combination of your inspiration and the structure that comes in to replace what is revealed as not there, not real. Like, I'm really seeing the Wizard of Oz. Oh, and I love what just happened over here in the corner. I'll explain that maybe. But I always do a little bit of candle magic when I'm doing these readings, by way of like, I bring in the, like, I love working with candles. And so that's like, I set intentions, I put protections, you know, and that's a beautiful kind of a prayer. And so this candle went out, which is interesting. So I'm like, it means that my higher self has like truly stepped in to this reading, and we're like, I just had to share because I just observed that. My mind is kind of like it's a little bit like a squirrel. But anyway, so what I'm seeing here is this way in which there's there's a structure coming in to greet us in this moment of it's transformation. And we're stepping into like new, like the Fool card. And you might have been, all of you probably have been seeing the Fool card a lot. But the Fool card, you know, this leaping in this new direction and the structure that is meeting us, it is a structure. This reminds me of an algorithm, I'll be honest with you. It is a structure, but it has a kind of intelligence. It is a machine, but it has a kind of, you know, it's interactive, and it's a beautiful, and like, this is a beautiful symbiotic something. So the Age of Aquarius is bringing in a structure to replace the shadows. That is going to be it's going to be like a creative match, and allow you to really step into your potential. And whatever your creative potential is that you're not even aware of yet, because you've been living so long under the hardships of survival, you know, whatever this structure is coming in to, like, you know, as these shadows sort of disappear, yeah, they're like, basically, don't worry, it's going to be okay. And you'll know what your role is when you get to the threshold of it. And this is this King of Wands. And this King of Wands is about being able to take your inspiration and to ground it every single time. This is the king who has gained mastery over having inspiration and grounding it, like being passionate and having that like actually take form in the way of results. The King of Wands is the warrior king. You know, like, this is the king that will fight back if threatened, like, it, you know, and win if threatened. Not just like this. So this is a beautiful energy to be stepping into. It's the creative force, really, that is behind this change that we see coming in right here. Now, with every change that we see coming in, there is also, I don't mean to throw the cards, I just get, this is a new road. This is I'm seeing the Ace of Coins here. And it's also looking like there's some fire in it. And what am I hearing in the distance? It's a dog crying out. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. When I said that we were going to have a little bit of inside time, I gotta look and see what that is. Make sure that there's a dog that's okay. I'm going to just peek my head out the window because I hear a dog crying. He's fine wherever it went. It seems like it's okay. I don't see. Did that sound like it was an especially like upset dog, or was that just me? That wasn't even an intuition thing. It just sounded like he was stuck or something. But I didn't see anybody out there. Resuming the reading. Just had to make sure that you know, I am seeing, and I actually don't believe in coincidences during reading. So, you know, there's something to this idea that, you know, as we step into this new road, there will be a cry out. You know, there's a warning that is kind of plaintive, like a plaintive cry. And so this inside that I'm seeing related to this, like whatever this means to be shut in, or maybe it means to be deprived of access. I'm not really sure yet. It's temporary, right? And it's a response to this wheel of fortune, this turn of events, and this new road that is created. And so I just want to sit with, so it brings us into a kind of a second hermit phase, or another hermit phase that's about to take form. And I'll take, you know, I'm going to get more cards on that because that seems like a significant thing to be curious about. I will try to, you know what I'm going to do? I'll time stamp the questions. So like, even if this reading is 500 years long, that you can sort of jump around. I always say that I'm going to do that. I hope I do that this time. Like, I hope I make good on this. Are we doing okay in terms of straight out here? So let's get a couple cards. I want to see this Island of Hermit and what we're looking at with the Island of Hermit. Okay. Law of continuity. Free spirit, Trinity, and unity. I'm excited already. Look at this crown. Look at that crown. This is like, we're stepping into our divinity. We are stepping into the roles. Oh, this is cool. I love the feeling of what, like, let me just, I feel a lot through my hands. So let me go over here. Universal spirituality is like, I don't know if you see that peeking out right underneath. We're moving into a place where there's no longer this distinction between like science and spirituality. We're getting to a place, and I kind of see it happening through quantum physics, like everybody else. Like if you really look close enough, you start to see, there's a really good book. It's called Physics and Angels or something like that. I'll get the title and I'll put it down below. I'll make a note to do that. The Physics of Angels. It's a conversation, and like we are seeing this way in which the spiritual is beginning to make sense of the natural world, and that's a surprising turn of events. Yeah, let me just look at that a little bit. Yeah, like there's a magic that's coming in, and so the law of continuity is actually, you know, what we experience every day in the way of change. You know, what, if you had to distill like the all-powerful, you know, what is God essentially, you know, in terms of the aspect of God that is all-powerful. And I like us to start to think about goddesses and gods as aspects and not like literal people, because that's how I experience them. And I think that there's something really useful in the way that, you know, pantheons operate like that. But with the law of the continuity, like, you know, one thing that you can count on is that the God of change, like there will not, change is going to happen. There's no, even if you sit and try and be, even if you sit in atrophy, like sitting still, even if you just sit still and you don't move, there's still change going on. Your cells are still vibrating. You know, your mind is still like darting around and making connections. Like there's no way of avoiding that. And so, you know, as we, like, it's almost like the divine and spirit is saying, and I see this like beautiful kind of like honorable type of like, you know, one of the many gods, but the honorable God of the law of continuity is coming through to just basically say, that's cool, whatever that, this is what's happening. So this God is coming through to say, like, listen, like, change is your friend, and we are taught to fear it. You know, growing up in a world that says survival is stability, Survival is, you know, creating, like hoarding your way into the most stable position possible so that you can, what, fight with nature. Good luck. Good luck with that. Smart one. Good, you know, that's like a good insult for some hot shot. Good luck with that, hot shot. But the law of continuity, you know, I'm just being shown how, like, we need to recognize change as not being our foe, but change as being our friend. And that's really hard when it comes to comfort zones and fear-based thinking that is, like, absolutely encoded in at this point. That we need to do a little bit of tinkering to free ourselves from, with the free spirit here. But with the Trinity and unity coming in, there's unity consciousness around the interaction between the self, the collective consciousness, and the and that which is created of it. So that's God. You know, this is really interesting. So what I'm seeing here with the Trinity, yeah, self, individual, collective conscious, like all that we share consciously. And I think what happens to the mass of our consciousness is when we pass away and there ends up being this reservoir of consciousness that's part of our collective unconscious, which is why, like, ghosts are spooky. And there's something really cool about, like, when you do shadow work and you do the underworld tour, we all do it, to begin to think about this as not being like something that's outside of you, but that's something that is the collective unconscious. It's like, you know, it's your unconscious impulses that is passed on generation to generation in all of us as we interconnect. And it's really, really cool. And that's where the ghosts live, and that's how they even interact with people. So this is an interesting thing here. Yeah, and the creator as well is what we create of that. I don't know what I'm talking about. And so this is a channel, like, where, like, I've literally, like, lost. All I know is that I think it came through initially, and then I started to, like, circle. But with the unity card here, and I'm looking forward to, like, going back and then re-listening to this. With the unity card here, just, like, coming into a peace and a harmony about all of that. And also being able to see how things actually naturally harmonize and, like, work together, and, like the science behind, like, what really happens. I think we're entering an era where the horizon, where we see, yeah, Spirit is showing me, where are we going? The horizon, like in the same way that no one who was a part of the Industrial Revolution could ever have seen the internet. We're going to understand consciousness, and it's going to change everything. That's the next horizon that we are going to, like, overcome. And it's going to free us. And so when we talk about where are we going and the big change that's coming, you know, and, like, oh, you know, like Spirit is saying, like, don't, you know, like, once the shadows are revealed to be the shadows, and this structure is in place to help us innovate our way into an understanding of who we are and how it all works together. And the breakthroughs in terms of the science of consciousness, we're going to see just, like, this revolution here. We're at the precipice, and here's where we see this little roadblock. You see this moment, this blip. I'm gonna find out what this is, but this is where the road kind of leads. So let's go ahead and take a look at this blip. Kind of heavy, I'll tell you, as I'm shuffling. I feel heaviness. So we don't, like, practice divination to, like, spook ourselves. We practice divination to prepare our perspectives for whatever the likely trajectory and, you know, that we're able to perceive is. And so when I say that there's something here where, in reaction to this surge of a taking command over human potential in the form of creativity and the change that brings in, and the new road, you know, this Island of the Hermit is about, well, that's cool. I love it. Even better. Oh my God. Can we, wait a minute. Like, I can't really convey this fast enough because I'm channeling, but when I say the information that just came through my consciousness is like calling for me to like almost like want to stop and like cheer and do like a round of applause, because this is amazing. And we're getting there, so close. I just move this over here, but let's take a look, because I'm very excited. I was about to say like that this is going to be challenging. No. This is going to be great fun, actually. So take a look at this character. So I see that like as we surge forward in this new direction, that what is given to rise up and to try to stop that progress, you know, this last surge of shadows, you know, being aimed in this direction. Spirit is basically showing me that there is like this effort to thwart and put us kind of in our place, and I think that there is something to that. But what isn't quite understood or isn't quite known in terms of this island of the hermit, wherein we have all grown like very comfortable. Like, it may suck, you know what I mean, and we may have these moments of being like, I hate being alone, like what's going on, like why is like it's so hard, I hate dating, whatever. We're all some version of like where do people even like, yeah. Right, underwhelmed with the outside world a little bit, and then not wanting it to be that way and trying to sort of make connections. So we don't love this position that sort of everybody kind of finds themselves in terms of where we are in flux, but we also know that if someone told us tomorrow, like, we all need to do a 2-week shut-in, mandatory, there's a flu going around, how many of you would be like, oh, wonderful? Like, how many of you would know that you've been down this road before and hope that it wouldn't extend or anything like that, but also know that like that there's something to be found here, and there's something to discover here. And so, you know, this is a person who is being fed by nature, and this is somebody who is spiritually enlightened, and this is a peace, and there's companionship here. So there's something really beautiful happening in this space of introspection, and this is also somebody who's like looking within. So whatever this like rises up to try and put us in a quiet space. Okay. And that's the thing. Like, this is going to be very useful. This is going to be, and so when we look at what does this do? Okay, I'm just gonna have to go one at a time. I need some water. Let's start with Leo energy. Expressive, creative, loving, playful, warm, overt, self-confident, flirtatious, glowing, bedazzling, extroverted, vital, guileless, egotistical, juicy, proud, trusting, excessive. This is a great energy, even when it is excessive, because Spirit is showing me that like there's a revolution that is going to happen with self-awareness, with self-consciousness, and with our, like, overall with our consciousness. And we saw that this revolution of consciousness, this structure that is conducive to this process that is coming in as the structure to replace what is going bust, is this revolution around consciousness. And what we discover about ourselves and where so much of the healing takes place is when the voices of those that would inform us of our value based on any number of protocol, when those voices are reduced to an acute silence, like where you could drop a pin, and the veil thins to a degree where we're being able to see our reflection in the spirit realm clearly, really see who we are, that who we discover ourselves to be is somebody that we fall in love with in a way that we've never fallen in love before. We've been looking for love and trying to find it here and trying to find it there, and it's, you know, here's that love story and the other love story and the love story that you're trying to live through and the love story that you're over, and all of those ways in which we were promised like the rain, like what is it, like you promised like the world, and we were given like a broken marble, you know what I mean, or like whatever it ends up being. But we are in for a love that is like unlike any love that we've ever known before, and it's not lonely, and it's not this is sad, and it's not like, oh well, that's just like a consolation prize for not. No, evolution of consciousness here, having an encounter with ourselves in some kind of a cool way, that reveals to us a part of our nature, a part of who we are, that kind of like where you find that like you complete, you know, there's that feeling of like, well, you fall in love with yourself, and not in a flimsy, this is like some, you know, self-love, you know, self-help talk. Like something remarkable and revolutionary happens here, and the result is like you love you, you seek you, and you able, and from that place of loving yourself like this, you like have an effortless way of like expressing then who you are, the authenticity, and then glowing and the proud in your authenticity. You know, you're that's like, there's no more like shame and like, oh, I'm not wearing makeup, you're making it, you know what I mean, like none of that. Because this change in outlook is basically I see this as being like the door opens. This is the key, you know, that this is that Leo energy, this dress right here, you know, the door opens. Worldview, mission statement, expression, effect, role, mark, attitude, outer self, point of view, body image, aura, likeness, approach, impact, first impressions. This is you. The door opens. So many of you are sitting there being like, you know, there is a hellish life that consists of like everything that I do every single day, and then the things that I do to escape or numb. And then I get up again, and that cycle of like, just get through the slog, you know, the punishment of like whatever is on the to-do list. And even those moments when you're in flow and when you're in that place of creation and you're proud of yourself and it feels good, there's still this tension over like, when's the shoe gonna drop? And so, you know, when we're liberated basically from that system of fear, and we see ourselves for who we are, we're able to love ourselves, we're able to express ourselves without a fear. This is a change in the way that we see ourselves, the way we see the world, that opens these doors. And, you know, so whatever this is one of these situations, like, you know, like there's that verse, like what God means for evil. Wait, what is it? What God means, no, yeah, what the devil means for evil, God means for good. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of these things. It's like where, you know, where the opposition means to shut down whatever this shifting in consciousness is. What comes of it is a knowledge of self, and the doors open in this outlook, allowing for this experience with the fifth house: passion, performance, entertainment, creativity, costume, play, love affairs, passion, pleasure, parties, children, humor, romance, disco ball. And with the sun card being being, and then put these together, I mean, this is power behind passion. I don't think we realize how much we all want to rebuild, how much we have to put into the creativity of building a world. We are educated. We have been sitting home for a while. We are educating each other at like a light speed when it comes to, you know, social media's ability to have that reach. When we're given the leeway to create, and we will, and I don't think there's like some battle that we have to like fight with like sticks. You know, I see us as looking at the tower fall, being like, you know, goodbye tower, you know, like looking at that structure of a tower, feeling like this is gonna suck as it goes down, you know, grab onto a chair or whatever. Not that a chair will help you, but like when we look at the change that is taking place, when we see the structural change where like one structure is moving into the other, you know, this is less about, you know, might and more about rebuilding. You know, it's just gonna fall. There's nothing holding it up anymore. And so when we walk out of the tower and we let it fall and we start, you know, building on the other side of the street, this is basically like a boon. Once we, and especially because like this effort to, like, you know, where we have an awakening, the likes of which, you know, the finishing of the awakening that started with putting us inside the first time. And I'm not suggesting that we're going to have like a second, you know, what shut in, but there's something here about trying to isolate us in some way, or like something here about what we're looking at in this card. And if you want to jot down what you see in this card too, I mean, basically where I'm going with the, like, I really feel that, you know, our energy coalesces in these readings and we're all kind of interacting, and it is a community in its own way. For me, definitely, like 100%, like your energies, I like interact with all of you, and it's amazing. it's one of the most beautiful things in my life, actually, and is doing this work where, like, I work with a collective and I can feel all of you. This, whatever this ends up being, when I said, you don't even know what your area of giftedness is, you don't even know where your potential is, and when you look at your workaday life and you're like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get out of the slog, I think I just am owned by the slog, the structural changes that are happening all around us, you know, this enlightenment about who you really are and falling in love with yourself, that outlook change, and then the passion that you get to bring to what it means to, like, rebuild. It's going to be fun. You know, it's actually, that's the breakthrough that you've been kind of hoping for. And so, like, this is like, where are we going? It sounds amazing. This sounds like one of these prosperity gospel messages where, like, you know, but this, you see the cards are coming out, you know, the sun, essence, energy, self-awareness, life force, spirit, creativity, honor, masculinity, distinction, childishness, ego, individuality, solitude, expression, self-sufficiency, shine, heartbeat, father. This is the divine masculine energy. So, you know, when we bring our passion to this rebuild, and we have the opportunity to do that through whatever this, like, sneaky little structure ends up being, this is a miracle somehow. I'm gonna let that tower just fall, right? Island of the shuttered door. This means that opportunity that we can't see yet is right beyond that shuttered door. I mean, that's sort of what we're talking about here. And it does come from all of us sort of coming together. This is community. Let me take a look at this. This is the threes. Gosh, look how amazing this is, because this is the Ace of Fire. This is the Ace of Inspiration. This is the Ace of Wands, King of Wands. This is the new path that is, like, born in us and through us. You know, as we move into what it means to create this new, I guess you could say, new world. Yeah, the Empire is falling. So that's what this is. You know, as we create this new space, it is in community with one another, but look at this community. Oh my gosh, this is really interesting. Let me take a peek. I want you to look at there's this, look at their costumes. For some reason, that's something. And that's going to be something that somebody else picks up on. Oh, I didn't explain what I was. So when I say to write down something that you think, you know, or see or feel, you know, that came through, same thing with this card. I think your insights and your downloads and the stuff that comes through, if we each write down one observation, and it's not really boosting my platform, like, I know you see, I do not try to do that. Anybody who watches me regular is like, yeah, she shows up when she can, basically. But this is about us actually connecting, because I do feel such an affinity to all of your energies, and I also know that you have something, each one of you has to share, that could be for me even, right? So, like, when you get these, so if we each have an observation that comes through, like, you know, we're bringing ourselves into this co-creation. Technomancy is its own form of divination, and it's something that we create together in some ways. So that's a whole other thing, but this is inspiration right here. And this is, I guess this is us all coming together, from different places. That's kind of what I'm seeing here, like, all coming together from different places and learning from each other, and the path that is created, you know, forward. Now, this is an interesting sort of like bottom of the deck energy. And so, you know, this is kind of speaking to 44444 on the clock. That's an angel number that means that we're surrounded by our guides and our guardians. So this bottom of deck energy is going to be like what it is for us to sort of be where we are right now, and like this process of change that we're in is basically just trying to like outrun inflation, outrun, you know, climate instability. This is trying really hard to like work through an atmosphere that just wants to take everything that you produce and gobble it right up. That's what it feels like. Underneath this is this incredible strength that is building in all of us, that is this creator energy, you know, and the bottom of the deck being, you know, mystery, the unknown, the unknowable, ESP, psychic abilities, the cosmos, universal truth, oneness, source, the unnameable shadow work, inner knowing, tingling, ghosts, other worlds, space, enigmas, the occult, intuition. Stepping into the mystery and leaving the mystery with a new sense of self. And it's going to be so unbelievably powerful. And so I think what we're going to do here, and like with crown and universal spiritual, and like look, Aquarius right underneath it, the seeds are sown. The age of Aquarius, the seeds are already sown. You know, the universal spirituality that is bringing us into our divinity. We're here, and so that's where we're going. Actually, I don't think we're here. That's where we're going. So that's the question to the answer. That's the question to the answer. That's the answer to the question of where we're going. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back in a little bit and we'll do the other questions. But I'm going to leave this here just because it's very long and it's better this way. But yeah, so this is where we're going. And let's come back again for... what's the next question here? The next question is, how do we disempower the fear that is holding us back? So we're going to come back for that, and I'll see you again soon.